everyone, and welcome to Redefine Family, a Spark Transformation podcast. I'm your host, Simona Spark, and our mission is to build a future where no one needs to come out anymore. Together, we can create a world where everyone has the right to love, to succeed, to have a family, and to live a full, happy life. Welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm super excited to introduce you to Brissa. Welcome, Brissa.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, of course. It is my pleasure. And let's get started with telling us where are you from and what do you do?
Originally, I'm from Mexico, and so right now I live in Chicago for over 20 years. And in a business area, I do photography and video production. Photography, that's my main passion. So that is what I do as a business.
Wonderful. Well, it's been such a pleasure to meet you a week ago in Chicago at the wonderful event that we both participate. And I just really wanted to learn more about your story. So I want to invite you to take us way back. How far do we need to go to find the age when you realize that you might be different that people around you expect you to that you are?
That's a really interesting question. So if I focus myself into, being a woman who loves women, sexually, emotionally, and sexually, that's the way that I introduce myself because I don't believe in labels. I would say it would be like 4 years ago. And the way that it happened was as I was doing these leadership trainings in social emotional intelligence, one of those quarters that I was doing, it was specific about personal power. And it started showing up, and what I was doing. And I was like, what's happening here? And kind of like understanding that that was something in me that I do believe has always been part of myself, but I didn't really accept it before, I guess. So during that time, I was like freaking out in the way that it was showing a lot for me to feeling that kind of attraction to another woman. And I do remember having this conversation with my coach, and remember I was crying because I was really scared. And mostly because I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't know what it would be, and fear to rejection and like, what is it? What is this? Like what's happening? And so when I talked to my coach about it, she was in shock. She didn't expect that either. And she said, there is no rush. I think it has been the best advice that I received. She allows me to stay back in myself, into understanding for myself. That there was no rush to be out. So that helped me a lot in a way that for me to embrace it and understand that exactly what was happening, what was coming from, and the feelings that I was feeling. And it's just this universe, right, that we have inside us. And then I was, okay, I need to really discover more about that part of myself, So I start kind of like reaching out and researching and reading, and I still like afraid to talk to people about it. Mostly, people close to me, and the same was about being rejected, the fear of rejection.
Majority of people understand that they are being different than, what we know in a binary world. They understand that about themselves at a young ages, and they are dealing with real strong fear of rejection. And I really appreciate that you speak to this just for us to see that it's still present even though you're an adult.
It is. What I can tell you today, as I've been in this part of my life, I do believe rejection has been the best teacher that I have. And so during that time, what I did was slowly start talking to myself first, because what I realized was I need to embrace that part of myself to be who I am. It's not about coming out with people. It's about coming out to myself. That was my responsibility. And so one of the things that I did, I remember this day, I was taking a walk with one of my friends, and I challenged myself to say, okay, I need to talk to her and let's see what happened. It's the only way to know. So we were talking this walk through the forest, and I said to her, you know what, there is something that I want to share with you. And I am really scared to talk about this with you because I'm afraid about you reject me. And she was like, what's happening? Concerned. And so she was like, what's happening? So I said, you know what? The same way that I can love a man, I can love a woman. So she just smiled. And she just looked at me and said, of course you do. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And she said, Brissa, because you have so much love for everybody that you can love anyone. And that's beautiful. So that moment I knew I'm gonna be okay. And that allows me to really embrace more that part of myself. And I remember I was just kind of like so happy and this like very joyful about it. Like, it's gonna be okay if I wanna be okay. Because it's part about sharing and trusting that the people who are around me, they're gonna accept me as I am, So that was that opening for me, continue sharing it slowly to people.
Yes, so beautiful.
I'm so happy that you have such a good experience to start with. And I'm just curious, have you find yourself in a situation to come out, quote unquote, family or other friends, and how that went, coming from an adult person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what I went for, right? So after that experience, I talked to one of my sisters, the oldest sister. So she's like my second mom. And so the same feeling, of afraid. So when I talked to her over the phone and I said to her, this is what is happening. And I just want you to know, because she has always been in my life. She has always been part of my life. And it's for me to that trust and that she had always having me, the same that I have with her. So this is part of our relationship. And she just like normal, like any other conversation, she said, wow, that's awesome. That's beautiful, and what I want is to be happy. And that's what I care the most. I will always love you the same way that I have always loved you. There is no difference at all. So it's like, oh, okay. So it's just feeling this love and embracing it, right? And so that happened. And then we just had this beautiful conversation. So we hang out, and then she called me back again. And she said, the only what I want you to know, and I want you to be just careful that you take care of yourself, because there is still a lot of violence against the community. So that's the only thing that she said. Like, I just want you to be safe, that you take care of yourself. You have do a lot amazing things, so this is part of your life, and just be safe.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And I do appreciate that, because I do believe, I have learned a lot to be part of the community in the last 4 years. And so it gave me more understanding exactly what's happening. So I do appreciate it, that part of herself into embracing me and had a concern and all together, because I think it's just not this community. I think in every community, right, we have that concern about safety. So yeah, that's what happened. And so I just slowly continue sharing with my friends. My concern was, when I was talking with my friends, mostly female friends, was that I have always been a very loving and caring woman, with everybody. So my concern was like, I don't want they're gonna think like, because I continue being the same, I want something. That was my only concern.
Yeah.
Because it's challenging.
It's crazy, because the teenagers are dealing with exactly the same situations and the same feelings when coming out to a friend, same-sex friend, and then facing with the answer, great, but just so you know, I'm not gay.
So it's crazy that it doesn't matter what age, we are dealing with the same assumptions, with the same fears, with the same worries, right?
And there is this expectation
Of people from LGBTQ community needed to come out, and people outside of the community don't need to come out. And that alone is just such a discrimination. And we are dealing with probably the same fears of safety and belonging as any other minorities.
And our mission here is to build a future where no one need to come out anymore.
So my focus here is to bring as many people, and we are keep talking about it until one day, hopefully, we don't need to talk about it anymore. that is just normalized. So where are you standing with that?
Thank you for sharing that. I do believe my own experience, because this is one of the things that I have learned in to always come from my perspective instead of go general.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I have learned to be part of, of the community in the last 4 years, because I didn't grow up in the gay community. I'm part of different communities. That's what I love. And that's what, the human connector, right? So I know a lot of people. So for me, what I have learned is like, I had never come into coming out with people in general. I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just continue being me and embracing myself who I am. And if it comes in the conversation, I simply talk about it like it is just a regular conversation. Like one time I went to this event, a working event, that I didn't know nobody. But I love to meet people. And I met this woman and she said, so what are you doing? Who do you know here? Like nobody. I just saw the event and I came and I just meeting a lot of people. And she, oh my God, that's awesome. So she started to introduce me with everybody. So when she was asking me questions, I was sharing about my life and I said, yeah, I happily divorced and now I dating women. And she just looked at me like, oh my God, that's awesome. So I think that's what I have learned. Like the more we embrace who we are without the, oh my God, what people's gonna think. It's just like, just share it. That has been my experience.
Yes.
You own it, you know who you are, and then you show up from that place. You show up in your power, and it's a non-negotiable. This is who I am. And then nobody could argue with that because you show up fully.
Yeah, I think it's part of that, taking ownership of, who I am, how am I present myself with anyone as I am, as I'm creating, right? So, and along with that, have a lot of understanding with other people, because I do believe that when it comes into, when we're talking about rejection or when we talk about, we have a judgment, like what is my judgment about this person, and understanding where that comes from, because most of the time when we make a judgment to somebody, it's something that we deny about ourselves.
Right.
And so that has allowed me to really, the more that I understand myself, I'm able to understand other people. And even though I disagree, but I do understand you. And I think that has been a huge shift when it comes into talking about differences, about gender or about, labels, and mostly, the community. So it's still challenging, but I think it's, for me, it has been that part, like just listening, understanding, continue taking ownership of who I am, my values, because that doesn't change at all.
Right.
It's continue being the same foundation that I am. So
absolutely.
But I totally understand. I have amazing friends who has been in a different situation, and it's challenging, sometimes that is a struggle, or is there is no support exactly how to embrace that. So I love that what you're doing, to really open the perspective of this is a conversation that we have with another human being, without putting into boxes of, oh, this is what how do you identify? Or this is, it's just about personal responsibility, I would say, and just bringing more awareness to, I think, wherever we are, and talk with that kind of empathy and understanding. I believe so.
Yes, we are connecting, with another human, who you are. All the little boxes that we fight, and God knows how many others we need to fight as we evolve as human. But there's the same principle of gender discrimination or race or, I don't know, nationality, or just name it. The same principle, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Brissa, I want to ask you, what would be your advice or suggestion to someone
who might go to similar experience that you went through and discover that there is part of themselves they didn't explore yet as adults?
Wow, I will say that, so come to, as I did it myself, right? Like come to more understanding about yourself first, without looking to have validation, or without looking to have somebody accept me. I think it has to be accepting myself. How am I doing that? And what is the foundation that I have around me? That just by having only one person, you don't need to have tons of people, but you can have someone want, that you can talk from that space and you feel safe, that's the way to opening more for that. And also to trust that about yourself, because I do believe that we are a foundation. We have everything that we need inside us. And when we tap into that, I do believe it's when this come in a much better way as we want it for ourselves.
Wonderful. So beautiful. So beautiful. And I will tie to that what you say from the beginning, which I absolutely love. And I believe in that. It's just taking the time and not rushing through the process.
Yes.
You don't need to come out to anyone. You don't need to rush. You don't need a label. You just need to feel good with who you are.
Yeah, totally.
Regardless what that is, right?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the end of the day is you. Is your story. It's how do you want to be seen for yourself first, and then everything is gonna come in place. And it's so beautiful. And I think one of the things is it's a self-discovery. That's what I realized. Holy shit! So that has been for me a self-discovery, because it never ends. So it's just so fascinating. Sometimes I discover new things and like, oh wow, that's me. And sometimes I don't like it, and sometimes I do like it. But it's like, okay, how am I embrace those part of myself? It's just scary, but it's fun, Yes,
I love that so much. We're just gonna invite anyone into allowing the evolution to happen, because we never done. We always evolve, and just stay open and curious that whatever we need to evolve
into and become, it's exactly who we are meant to become. I often say that we wake up as a different person every day.
correct. I do agree. And I think one of the things that I incorporate for myself, it was meditation since last year. That is transcendental meditation. And it's just, it has been so great because it allows me to really just still. So it's something that is a skill that we develop. And I think when it comes into those situations, like when embracing something new of ourselves, by going to tune in, as you just said, it kind of allow us to really ground ourselves into that. So that way we can move from that space instead of the freaking out and like the desperation of, all those kind of things. So because I know it happened, and I would love for people who has been through that is still going, that they know that everything that they want, they are able to do it from inside out. They know who they can talk and who they can be, in that moment. I think is the beauty of it, to evolve it. And
beautiful.
Just still yourself and really, really listen to yourself, because the answers are in between. Instead of listen what other people might think or say or do, because that has nothing to do with what's happening in our soul. Thank you so much for such a beautiful advice.
Thank you.
Thank you. And in closing, I just want to leave some space for you to share with us about women to women.
Women to women, it came because my own experience into as I was, exploring and meeting people, and I didn't find a specific space for women to get together and talk inside the community. And I was looking for this kind of conversations to have with women, because I haven't these kind of conversations, but outside the community, having a couple conversations with a couple of friends in the community, everybody was talking about the same. Like, it doesn't exist. It's just most male oriented, right? So there is no space for women to really get together, have conversations, and do something different than just the bar,
Yes.
And so, oh my goodness, how amazing will it be to have these conversations that we're having right now, and then just put it out there, to share our stories and what we do and what we're creating, and create some kind of experiences. And that's how it happened. I just started doing conversations with diverse women from the community, where I put those conversations online, where everybody shares different perspectives about their own experiences, and it's all kind of conversations, from work, for personal relationships, from leadership, from sexuality. And then I created different events that was very experiential, because for me it's everything about experiences, super intentional, where these women in the moment when they walk in, they feel seen, they feel that they belong. Even if it's the first time that you see them, you know each other forever. So it happened, and it was just so cool to see that loving and safe space for everybody. And this is how everything started. So it has been a really great, feedback for women, because I love it. Oh my God, this is a great space so we can be more out there, because the intention is increasing our visibility and our presence in our community inside and out, and the value that we bring in, because we are everywhere.
I love it.
So beautiful, super powerful. So those that are interested in contacting your organization or be part of, how they can find you?
They can go to women2women.space, and then they can see everything. And then also they can learn from other women. And if they're interested to be part of this conversation, there is a link where they can jump in and
wonderful.
Get to know. Yes.
Love it. Thank you for doing that work. Literally, this is the way that we could change the world, like creating spaces where people are seen and heard and let them know they matter. And those stories are inspire others and let them know they're not alone.
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that work.
Totally. Thank you.
And thank you for giving us the time and share with us. And I'm looking forward to have you back when the time is right. Is anything else that you want to add in the ending?
I want to say thank you so much, Simona, for creating this space, like to share, different diverse stories of part of the community. And the work that you're doing is just so really important right now. And I do appreciate it so much. And so anything that we can support you as well, please, we are here for you as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for tuning in to Redefine Family, a Spark Transformation podcast. We invite you to share your story, knowing that your story could change someone's life. Feel free to spread the love by sharing our message with others. We always like to hear from you at spark@redefinefamily.com. Always remember that you are the spark in your life. Just shine bright.